Hi there, I'm Eli Sipka, and this is the Apatros Review. Now in this episode we take a look at Paranormal Activity 2, directed by Todd Williams in the year 2010. And by the way, Merry Christmas everyone. Hope you guys are staying safe and get lots of prezzies, and hopefully next year everyone gets the top prezzie of seeing Joe Biden impeached, hopefully. But we'll see about that. Anyway, now this episode we take a look at Paranormal Activity 2. And this film was actually, it's an American film, it was theatrically released, but actually premiered in Belgium on 20th of October 2010. And then a day later, on the 21st of October 2010, we Australians saw it for the first time. So we actually saw it a day before the Americans, the British, the Canadians, and the Italians, which actually saw it on the 22nd of October. And also in Serbia, in my father's home country, the Serbians saw it premiere on the 2nd of December 2010. Now, the film was directed by Todd Williams, written by Michael R. Perry, Christopher Landon, and Tom Pabst. The story was written by Michael R. Perry, and it was of course based on the film Paranormal Activity by Oren Peli. And this sequel was produced by Oren Peli and Jason Blum. And I should point out that the Australian DVD was released by Paramount Pictures. It's actually the Aussie disc has a theatrical version and an unrated version on it. I'll talk more about that later. And the only supplement is a deleted scene in the teaser trailer. Now, I'm old enough to remember many fads in the science fiction horror genres of the past 3.5 decades. During the late 2000s, early 2010s, the Paranormal Activity franchise, a series of found footage horror films where the premises of a family being plagued by a demonic presence that wants their youngest male child, supposedly as payment for a pact made back in the 1930s or so, the members filming on camcorders the bumps in the night made by the unseen demon leading up to a brutal finish, was a reigning horror franchise for at least 4 years, until the arrival of the 6th century, the Ghost Dimension supposedly killed the franchise off, until the 7th film came out earlier in 2021. Now, while the original Paranormal Activity was a surprisingly effective Cheap Jack ghost story, I saw this film in its theatrical run in 2009, and it was like a good deal of others, stunned into shock by the subtle jumps that director Oren Peli pulled off like a pro, where the audience walked out of the cinema with pale faces, myself included. Although I didn't get any nightmares over this film, these shocks tend to be short-term effects that typically last about half an hour or so. Now, the film was not exactly inviting for any sequels, and worked perfectly well as a standalone film. But the massive success of the original film inspired Paramount, the then fledgling company Blumhouse, which went on to become the top studio dealing in modestly budgeted horror films, although they went the way of the woke very hard, resulting in some of the most leftist-charged horror films ever made, particularly the spectacularly bad college feminist remake of Black Christmas in 2019, and basically they got the idea to make sequels. Now, a couple of months before the events of the original film, so this is actually basically like a prequel and a sequel at the same time, Kay's sister, her husband, their teenage daughter and their infant son begin to experience weird phenomena, such as objects being moved and doors opening and closing their own accord, even shutting them out violently. We, the audience, see these occurrences entirely through the system of security cameras that they had installed a year earlier thanks to a mysterious break-in. Soon the occurrences become progressively more violent, and the daughter, named Ali, begins to wonder if one of their ancestors had made a deal with a demon to get rich at the expense of the firstborn male descendant, and the baby boy is the first male family member to be born in their family in the past 80 years. Now, the original Oren Peli film was a pretty spooky film on the first watch, but upon the second viewing the scares wear off somewhat, not to mention the unconvincing behavior of the protagonist couple. But it was still a pretty decent film overall. Paranormal Activity 2 is actually surprisingly enough a rare sequel that improves on the original. For one, the demonic presence is speculated to be haunting the family for their first male relative, although this is only speculation at this point in the franchise, and no more information on this is given. The scares are also more elaborate. Instead of the moving doors in the original, here we get a kitchen full of moving objects. There's an awesome jump scare here where all the cupboards open up suddenly, causing an almost impossible scare horror fan like me to go holy shit at the screen. And the moving pool cleaner robot. The unrated version of the film has the father being scalded by the pool heated elevated to an unsafe temperature, and the climax is also far more impressive than that of the original. Unlike the original and later sequels, there actually is a legitimate reason for the video footage to exist, as the cameras are part of a security system the family has set up after a mysterious break-in. So unlike most other found footage films, here the camera's existence is perfectly logical. You're not going to see in this film people going around with camcorders, although the daughter Ellie actually does have a camcorder she uses at times. They even provide some warning to the family as the daughter looks up some of the footage to investigate the situation. The acting is also very good. even better than the first film, in fact. The key thing about the horror genre is about seeing good people get into bad situations and our sympathy being on them to survive the encounter and learn their lesson. The film even adds some potential defenders in the form of the Mexican housekeeper and the German Shepherd, although their efforts don't save the day. By the way, I actually owned a couple of German Shepherds in my time. They're good dogs. Now, the cast provides some great acting as a beleaguered family and totally convincing their performances. Although the film ends on a downbeat ending, spoilers, where a possessed Katie fulfills the demon's pact by going on a very quick rampage for the house, but at least one family member makes it through, purely by dying to being out of the house. The film ends with the same style of closing credits, although unlike the original film where there are no closing credits, here at least they do appear, after about a minute's worth of dead space to simulate this being a real story. I would definitely consider Paranormal Activity 2 to be the best film of the franchise, and a solid film overall, so it earns a B, 6 out of 10 for that. Now for gore and nudity, no gore despite some quick and brutal kills, and there's no nudity, but plenty of bikini cleavage as the women of the family use the pool often. Now for the DVD. This film was the first film of the franchise to be released on Australian DVD by Paramount Pictures. The original film was an independent film, and first released by an indie label called Icon Entertainment. The menu is basic with an ominous looking black background with white typewriter text showing the options. The picture looks flawless, even the night vision footage looks precisely the way it should be with some minimal but contextually authentic grain. The choice of soundtrack is either an English 5.1 or one of those ridiculous DVS tracks, visual subtitle tracks, where a voice narrates what goes on the screen for the blind viewers out there. Since blind people generally don't watch DVDs, this feature is useless, unless you want to laugh yourself to death by listening to them. There are 7 subtitles on offer here, and the only supplement is a solitary deleted scene in the original teaser trailer. I should also mention that the Australian DVD has both the theatrical version of the film and an unrated version that only has about 3 extra scenes in it, including the hot nuts and pool scene I've already mentioned above, but nothing to warrant this version as being unrated since there's nothing here that would raise the rating of this version any higher than the theatrical print. A bit of a scam, really. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So basically Paranormal Activity 2 gets a B. I would actually consider this probably the best film of the franchise, even better than the original. Okay, hope you guys are staying safe, take it easy, and I do not do requests, but if you have any questions about DVDs or films, just hit me up in the comment section, I'll be happy to answer. And I'll try and get more episodes done today to pretty much speed through for the end of this year. I hope you guys are staying safe, take it easy, and see ya.